All right, folks, it is August 12th, 2024. We're going to be talking Elon, Trump, gold, and XRP. This is a live session that we're firing up here, 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern. And we just watched President Trump with Elon Musk go live for 2 hours straight. Uninterrupted, unscripted, nothing off limits. This is what a real president looks like. Well, that's Nick Sorter chiming in, and we appreciate that. I'm just going to say, you got to love it. This moment, uncensored, unscripted, 2 hours on Elon Musk's platform X, which he's taken over and provided to the people as a platform for these type of town hall conversations. Whether you like, love, or hate Elon or Trump, you got to love having the conversation. If you're not here for the conversation and freedom of speech and allowing to express our ideas, opinions, and thoughts, and try to get to some real policies, which I will say we didn't really get to many, real policies with Trump. It was kind of like two friends rambling on for 2 hours long, this interview, and a lot of the same stuff that we've heard from Trump. But the moment here, when we take a step back and we realize that what just happened, incredible attack on X, which I put out a tweet here as this was getting started, and I said, did we just, set a honeypot trap? We're tracking right now a little sting operation on who's attacking this X platform, who's trying to get involved in America having a town hall with two thought leaders, one running for president, one Elon Musk, the now the owner of X and this platform that is providing the town hall conversation for our country and for the world. This is so important. And so you got to love it. You got to respect it. And we got to talk about what's taking place here. This is going to be a full live update on the current events, cryptocurrency, and the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. And I've always said that Trump was a part of this, starting the greatest transfer of wealth in world history, cutting taxes, cutting regulation. Get past the big bad orange man. Look at what he did. And if you want to criticize him for what he did, that's okay. I'm actually going to show a tweet from Peter Schiff, who, of course, took an opportunity to point out how much debt was added to our national government's debt under Trump's administration. And that's totally reasonable, understandable. I get it. And I point to that too. It's a blemish on Trump's record. He's not God to me. He's not the second coming of Christ. He's just another man. But we see Trump and Elon, they're sitting down, having a conversation here for 2 hours straight, uninterrupted, unscripted. Somebody should have interrupted Trump because he was going on and on forever. I mean, he's worse than me on an hour-long live stream after I've had a couple adult beverages, right? Trump was going on and on about, these different stories and stuff, many of them that we've heard. And I wish that, Elon would have kind of interjected more and got more questions in and got to more of the policy issues that we haven't heard Trump nail down on yet, right? And the thing about it, though, like I said, Trump goes to Chicago, what was it, like the Black Journalist Association or something like that. And he goes into, I'm not going to say the enemy's territory, but he goes into a place that wasn't friendly to him. I mean, you saw how he got pressed by these reporters. And then he goes in here to this conversation with Elon and he gets questions for 2 hours, right? And he's going. And just the other day, I was going to make a video talking about this. I just don't see how this is even going to be a race. The dude's putting in too much work. I mean, he's just outworking the competition. It's not even close. It was 9:30. It was 9:30 on the West Coast where I live. And I'm going to take a shower and I'm looking for something to watch on YouTube. And I see that Trump is doing a rally in Montana. Now in Montana, they're in a different time zone. I think they're 1 hour ahead or 1 hour behind, or 1 hour ahead of us. And so it's 10 o'clock over there where Trump's at, and he's still giving a rally speech at 10 o'clock at night. And my immediate takeaway was there's just no chance. You can't keep up. Well, I mean, first off, we don't even know where Joe's at. We saw him on the beach this weekend. Okay, that was our first sighting of Joe in the past week since this whole thing blew up with our markets, since everybody's been on the edge of their seat waiting for Iran to respond. And where's Joe? We don't know. And then, he finally shows. We have a Joe Biden sighting, and he's on the beach sleeping. It's almost as if they're, it's just a joke. Now, I see that Missy pulled up here with a 20 spot, and I see that she dropped the dancing emoji, the wine emoji, and the hands in the air like you just don't care. And I got myself a little adult beverage because I figured that we need to say cheers to having the conversation, no matter where you're at, no matter who you believe in, no matter who you love. I've been saying, if Trump gets elected, okay. If Biden comes back, if Kamala does it, if somebody else shows up, nothing should stop us from taking advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. It's just a matter of which direction and how quickly, this thing's really going to blow up and implode under the different administrations. That's what this comes down to. But the fact that we're here having this conversation on the platform and we get to listen to our president for, unscripted for 2 hours. I'm telling you right now, if the Democrats wanted to actually put up a campaign right now, they would be calling up Elon to follow up, and they would be putting Kamala on a space. And maybe she couldn't make it 2 hours. Maybe she could. But they'd be putting her in front of the world with Elon to do the same exact thing. And I'm going to speak on this later when I go through. We got Crypto for Harris. There's a new little, Twitter handle that's trying to prop up, Harris as if she's going to become pro-crypto now. And I'm going to show you how big of a joke this is. They don't put up Kamala to speak. They're putting up all these other different people, and that's supposed to make us feel good about her crypto policies. It's like, no, put her in front of us, have her talk about the policies. Put Trump in front of us, have him talk about the policy, which is my only criticism of tonight's interview, is we didn't get to as much of the policies as I would like. I think that Elon was the right guy to get down to some issues, and he did. He talked about government accountability. He talked about the inefficiency, how we should have an efficiency council, I think is what he called it. Trump said that he would be a good candidate for that. And so it was a good interview. As I'm just, as an observer, I got a few critiques, but I'm here for the conversation, and I hope you are too. So cheers to that, and let's make America the best opportunity in the world once again. That's all we're trying to achieve. For those of you guys outside the U.S., we want the same thing for you. Shoot, I mean, the way things are going right now, we're going to have to go liberate the United Kingdom. What's going on over there? God bless you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Now, let's rock and roll. We had a lot to cover. Let's get it started, folks. So you guys already seen the deal. 2 hours straight with Elon. They win it, and they did it. Now, this was under a massive attack, massive DDoS attack on X. Elon was working on shutting it down, and they tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today. The highest amount of concurrent listeners that I saw go up to was 1.3 million, but that did not include, look at this on the side of it right here. You can see right here, Mario Nafal had 347,000 people watching his live stream. Watcher Guru had 132,000. My friend Alpha Warrior here, he had 3.4 thousand people watching his stream. So you had millions of people watching various live streams of this, but the stream was under attack. It started like 45 minutes late because of this. And now General Michael Flynn comes in and he comments, "Super, thanks for keeping the troops informed. The scale of DDoS attack likely has nation state backing." And see, this is how badly they don't want President Trump. They don't want, and not just in America, they don't want these conversations to be had. You're seeing in Venezuela, Maduro banned X, and he also banned Binance. From what I understand, I saw this earlier today, he banned Binance for 10 days or something like that. They were going to ban X. I don't know how long he's banning Binance, but they're going after the Binance platform because it's popular for peer-to-peer payments and for getting out of their country's currency. See, it's not just free speech. It's the freedom of money and the freedom to be able to transact that's at stake. And this is what they're doing to attack it, a massive attack underway. And I put out the tweet earlier tonight. I said, hey, what a perfect opportunity to set up a little sting operation and see who's trying to interfere. Now, mainstream media frenzy over Elon and Trump space. This is MSNBC is in a frenzy over the highly anticipated Elon and Trump space, with mainstream media attacking Elon throughout the day. It seems they understand the significance of this moment and are trying to paint Elon in a negative light. Now, this is what's so beautiful is even Mario Nafal, he's pulling tens of thousands of people into his spaces too, right? The power of X and what's being done over there, incredible. And the mainstream media, full panic. Camp Kamala, full panic. They're sending out this post to all their folks. I don't know if this was an email or what, if this was a text message or what this was. But they say right now, Elon Musk is interviewing Donald Trump live on Twitter. We're not calling it X. Okay, I don't understand what that's about. They're not going to call it. I mean, I still call it Twitter too. I don't really view it as a statement, but okay, that's acting real tough. Okay, Timmy Walls as the VP elect. Okay, sure. It's not enough that Musk has pledged to donate millions of dollars to help re-elect Trump. He's using his purchase platform. Oh yeah, he's using his money how he sees fit. Go figure. One of the largest social media sites in the world to spread Trump's unhinged and hateful agenda to millions of users. If that's all you need to hear to chip in $25 now to help Kamala and Tim have the resources to respond to their lies. Otherwise, let us remind you why this is a big deal. The richest person in the world is a lackey for Team MAGA. Musk already ruined Twitter by allowing hate speech and disinformation to flood the platform. Now Musk is using his vast fortune and broad reach to try to control our democracy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the SEC suggesting that Ripple should have to pay $2 billion in fines because of how much money they made. And because they showed no shame by having a proper party and the XRP community had high vibes and energy. And we were celebrating the fact that XRP is not a security. God forbid we do that. And God forbid Ripple makes so much money off of this. We need to fine them $2 billion. That's what this reminds me of. Elon, he buys a platform with his money. They tried, in the court, victory that he just had, where he had a compensation package. It was structured so that if he grew the company by so much, he would get paid a certain amount. He grew the company by that much, and then they tried to turn around and say, "Oh no, you don't get paid that much," and they try to intervene in a private company's affairs. It's terrible. And now I guess this was was this Tesla? I guess. And so they are a public company now, but nonetheless, right? This is a company with their own governing body, and they had their own program. And at every step of the way, the government tries to intervene. Just like in the Ripple case, they try to intervene and they try to issue a $2 billion fine. And this is why it was a huge victory when the judge came in last week and decided to give Ripple a slap on the wrist, $125 million civil penalty. It's like a speeding ticket when you're a big boy company and you do big deals and you make billions of dollars and you have a small minor infraction. A proper fine is $125 million. And I argue that they shouldn't even pay that. And I understand if Ripple ends up appealing. It appears that they're doing kind of a checkmate, waiting to see if the SEC appeals, and then Ripple will follow up with their own appeal. But we'll talk more Ripple XRP later in this episode. But it just reminds me of the same thing. This hate of success. Where are we at as a society? We should be lifting up those that hire thousands and tens of thousands of people. Now, I have my own criticisms of Elon. He took all sorts of government handouts. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But none of these guys are saints. Trump's not the second coming of Christ. Don't get it twisted here. We got to be able to criticize these guys too, but acknowledge them for some of the successes that they are having. Now, I do see that Shell drops a massive 80 spot in Aussie bucks. Shout out to Bobby Patriot, whoever he was, for helping me 2 years ago into this space and pointing me to you, Zach. God bless you both and everyone within the chat over the years. Forever grateful for you and you all. Shell, I appreciate you. You've been here forever. And, it's only been 2 years here that you've been on the platform. Thank you so much. We've been doing this for about 4 years now. We just hit 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. Huge milestone. And I couldn't do it without you guys. And I just passed over 320,000 on TikTok. Sorry, I mixed up the platforms there. 80,000 on YouTube and 320,000 on TikTok. 400,000 people in the community total. It's incredible. And that doesn't include the 30,000 plus that we have on X as well. Guys, thank you so much for your support. I couldn't do it without you guys. And the reason why I work so hard and I show up every single day is because the feedback that you guys have given me. When you guys meet me in person, you shake my hand and you tell me how much it means to you that you get my updates on a daily basis, or just you listen to me every so often, right? We got our regular listeners. We got folks that, come and go. But you guys have been here, and one thing that I've tried to do is show up every single day for you guys. So for those of you that appreciate it, for those of you that like the video, that have subscribed, hit the notification bell, thank you so much. I got to get back to it because we have so much to talk about. Let's roll. This is what I'm talking about with this Crypto for Harris, their new account here on X, thinking that they're going to do something and represent Kamala. They say, bored of the rambling man? Yeah, we see you. Tune in Wednesday for something fresh with Adam Schiff. We'll be joining our Crypto for Harris town hall to talk about how Democratic leaders are gearing up to reset U.S. crypto policy under a potential Harris administration. Now, that's a conversation worth having. No, it's actually not a conversation worth having because you need to get direct to the policy. And this is what I'm saying. You can't catch up to Trump when he's coming out and saying that he's going to fire Gary Gensler. That's a policy. That's a decision. That's a move that doesn't get any more clear. That doesn't get any more pro-crypto. You can't catch up to that. It's just like Kamala coming out now and saying that she wants to take away tax on tips. You're playing catch up. You're behind. You will not get ahead by following and imitating what Trump's doing. And this is a pathetic attempt with this Crypto for Harris account. And I retweeted out this post right here, and I just simply said, how embarrassing. But I also retweeted them out. The reason why I followed this account, Crypto for Harris, and I showed you guys this a couple episodes ago, is I said, I'm going to follow this account, and I'm going to be responding to this account in real time to call out the hypocrisy and call out the BS, because they're so far behind. They say, while you're here, any guesses of who our next speaker announcement will be? Well, that was before they announced that it was Shifty Schiff. Right? Adam Schiff. Who cares to listen to Adam Schiff talk about crypto? Right? And I said right here, very simply, why aren't we hearing policies directly from Kamala? We aren't interested in another speaker on her behalf. It means nothing. I'm sure Elon would be glad to do a space. And unless the Democrats want to put on a master class of how not to run a presidential campaign, they would be calling up Elon right away to host a space. They would be putting Kamala forth to speak on policies directly, but they're not. She's been caught giving the same speech over and over again at the few appearances that she has made. Now, like I said, Peter Schiff did come in and he did take an opportunity to call out Trump, and I'm here to call out Trump just as well. Excuse me. We need to call out Trump. There's not, it hasn't been perfect. It's not a perfect record. He's not a perfect man. No man is perfect. Trump doesn't understand that a lot of the excess money supply that is now bidding up prices was printed while he was president to finance his record deficit spending. He needs to accept some responsibility for today's inflation if he's going to successfully fight it tomorrow. And I do agree. I do agree. I believe that we still are feeling the cause and effect here of the massive stimulus that happened, and it started under his administration in 2020, but then it was the transfer of power to the Biden administration, and we saw an acceleration and a continuation. And the problem with our inflation is that we also have a loss of the U.S. dollar reserve currency status. Back about 20 years ago, we were over 70% of the global reserve status. Now we're down to about 50%. We're about to fall under 50%. Now we're still by and large the largest reserve currency in the world, but we've lost such a large stake, and countries around the world are dropping our treasuries at a time when our inflation's running high still. This is the massive problem. Now, I believe that if Trump does come in and if he does the continuation of what he did under his first term, cutting taxes, reducing regulation, the investment dollars will pour back in. And so there will be a new demand and an increased demand for US dollars. And as he stated at Bitcoin Nashville, the key, stable coins are key to expanding US dollar dominance. So the way that we keep the reserve currency status, the way that we tone back in inflation and create more demand for all of these dollars that we did create and we did print, is through the stablecoin legislation getting passed and US dollar dominance expanding. Most likely and most popular is going to be exposure through a digital derivative of the US dollar, which is Tether stablecoins, which is why they've allowed Tether to commit their fraud and deceptive scheme and grow and expand outside the US jurisdiction. And this is why they love Circle. This is why Circle's called up to the round table at the White House. And this is why Brad and Chris and Ripple's called up to the round table at the White House as well. More on that later. I'm going to be addressing that later in tonight's stream. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you've liked this. Please make sure you've shared it out far and wide. We're only about halfway through the data points. Let's talk current events war. Israel put its military on high alert after observing preparations by Iran and Hezbollah to carry out possible attacks. This is according to Wall Street Journal. Now, we've been sitting on the edge of our seat for the last week waiting for this to occur. This is one of many black swan events that are potential that lead us into a correction before the election. And the markets would be the least of our worries if the big one does go off. But as we saw, in the Ukraine-Russia war over the weekend, we saw a nuclear facility under attack. So President Putin coming out with a statement today says there will be no more peace talks with Ukraine. Quote, what is there to even talk about with those who attack civilians and nuclear facilities? So the whole world is on edge, and we've been in a World War III simulation event that's now gone hot in multiple dimensions, in that cyber warfare, that's kinetic warfare, that's currency and commodity war. So I say it's multi-dimension battlefield right now. And we have to understand that we're not in the clear. We're actually closer than we've been in a very long time to a larger conflict breaking out. So the response from Iran and what the United States is reporting is that Iran and their proxies are basically going to respond by attacking U.S. American bases in Iraq, in Syria, and many other countries, while simultaneously attacking Israel. Now, this is where the U.S. gets drawn in, and they really want to draw the United States into this conflict as well. See, everybody expects the United States to come to their backing, whether it's Israel, whether it's Ukraine. And the problem is that I've been saying is that we're just broke. That's the problem. We want to be able to defend the world. Okay, that's great. We want to be able to have all these domestic programs back home. That's great. We want to be able to send out stimmy checks. We want to be able to forgive student loan debt. That's all great. I wish the sun would come up every day with a beautiful rainbow and everything would be beautiful. I wish that was the case every single day. It's not reality. And the check is not cashing anymore. We're broke. So the problem is that we can't fund and we can't involve ourselves in all these different skirmishes. This is what happens when empires fall. And so we need to be careful here. I believe that gold is sending a signal. I believe that oil is sending a signal. Both were up today. Gold just had a close today of an all-time high daily close for gold. That's right. And the futures for gold were over $2,500 per ounce. Take a look at it. We're going to talk precious metals here for a sec, because we've been saying gold is sending a warning, oil is sending a warning, and watch crypto closely because crypto always moves first too. But in regards to gold, this is from Tavi Costa. Gold prices closed at a record level today. But what's even more significant is that the gold to NASDAQ ratio is currently on the brink of breaking out from a historical resistance. Here is a reminder that this ratio surged 13x from the peak of the tech bubble in 2000 to 2011. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Additionally, one of the most consistently successful investment strategies following over 70% of the Treasury curve inversion since 1970 was to go long the gold to S&P 500 ratio for the subsequent 24 months, regardless of whether the period was inflationary or deflationary. This is our moment, folks. Here it is right here. Gold to NASDAQ ratio breaking out. And this is a level that we've been, up against going all the way back to the 2011 highs. We're on the brink of breaking out here. Last time we did this, we did a 13x on this ratio. And now the question is, how high is gold going to go? How low is the NASDAQ going to go? See, the equities are on the brink of a massive correction, while gold takes some hits. And we saw it last week when the Japan carry trade unwind started to happen and it started to break. Well, gold came back down. Why? Because it's a global margin call. And so you have hedge funds and traders that are selling off paper gold, but you got to watch closely what's happening in the physical markets. I'll show you what's happening in the physical markets. In regards to silver, India took around 70 million physical silver ounces last month through the LBMA. That is equivalent of pretty much all of the silver mined in a month. You are watching the silver squeeze in real time. This is the end game. And the same thing's happening for gold. This is the London Metals Exchange, where India is pulling it off. And India, in the first 4 months of this year, accumulated and imported more silver than they did all of 2023. This is a rapid pace of accumulation that's happening out east. And what's the West doing? We're selling. We're selling because our markets out here are controlled by the paper markets, the derivatives. You guys got to understand, we're not see the real price of silver, and I know this is kind of confusing. The real price of silver is not $27 per ounce or whatever it's trading at right now. Take a look at this one, guys. This is not the futures market. Now, the futures market for gold went above 2,500. This is the spot market, okay? And it's supposed to represent the spot market. Like I said, this is not the real price, though. This is a controlled price. This is a paper price. $2,462 per ounce. We went all the way up to $2,477. Incredible. This is the highest daily close that we ever have achieved for gold. Now, we scroll on down to silver. Silver's lagging. Let me explain why. We're at $27.69 for silver. The reason why this metal is lagging is because folks don't view it as a monetary store of value, as a currency. It's not viewed as a currency. It's not being viewed as a store of value, at least out in the West. Out east, in India and China and these other countries, they're accumulating more silver than they have in a very long time. In fact, they're accumulating more silver in the past month than comes out of the ground. You know, even in Common Core new mass, 2 + 2 still equals 4. If we're accumulating, one country is accumulating as much silver as coming out of the ground in 1 month, well, even in new mass, you're going to have a deficit. You're going to have a shortage, and you're going to see the price go up. The schemes for manipulation are running out. And the main reason, in my opinion, why silver hasn't appreciated like gold has is because gold is still respected as a monetary value, as a store of value, and as a monetary value, currency value, whereas silver hasn't been. Silver's held its own, and silver has appreciated because of the industrial use. But most folks aren't viewing this as a currency. Most folks aren't keeping this on their balance sheet as a hedge, an insurance policy, and a store of value, like I am. Just like with my XRP, I treat my XRP like a reserve currency. I treat my silver like a reserve currency, but the masses aren't. And perception is reality. That's why silver is lagging, in my opinion. Now, it's not going to be the case forever. There is a gigantic naked short position being run by multiple US and UK banks in the silver paper market. Higher prices will force these banks to unwind the positions, fueling the move higher and eventually leading into a squeeze for the ages, with prices possibly reaching $1,000. Now, I never go that high with my price predictions for silver. I really don't give out price predictions for silver. I think that we're easily on our way to $50 and back to an all-time high for silver. I think that that's easily achieved in the next couple years. I stay away from the price predictions, but for those that are comfortable giving them, you hear them all the way from $100 all the way up to $1,000. But this is not just the chart degen on X. This is also North Star charts on X. This is many technical analysis on X and other platforms that are saying the same exact thing. We're looking at a 45-year cup and handle. If I go back to the last, this is the silver quarterly chart. See, this is a massive, massive 45-year cup and handle. What happens when we explode out of this thing? 50 to 100 to 500 to 1,000? I mean, it's the same thing with XRP. I'm not willing to put a limit on how high it can go because I'm not willing to put a limit on how much the dollar can be devalued. There's two parts to this equation. You got to understand that. We're trying to estimate how much the dollar is going to be devalued, while at the same time, how much will it appreciate from a fundamental value. The fundamental value for silver has grown significantly because of the industrial use. The reason why silver is undervalued is because the masses don't perceive it to be a monetary value. That's the key difference between silver and gold right now, in my opinion. And there's just more manipulation in silver, more hedges against it. And just like this chart degen was saying, the gigantic naked short position, this unwind, the spark was Japan last week. There's no going back. Folks need to understand this. Just because JP Morgan says that the Japan carry trade unwind is 75% done, that's a bold-faced lie, okay? You know, these are the same folks that are saying that we are only in a 35% of recession when we're already in a jobs recession, when we're already in an earnings recession. But now GDP is still, quote-unquote, growing, mostly because of government deficit spending. right? So we can technically say that we're not in a recession yet when you look at the GDP metric, but when you look at jobs, we're already in a recession. We would actually backdate the jobs recession back to 2023. For earnings recession, that began in 2023 for most of the companies. That's why the Russell 2000's been such a poor performer, is because the small to mid cap companies are all struggling. Their cost of debt isn't as cheap as it has been for the high flying tech, and the capital that's flowed into the high flying tech because of the cheap, easy money that drove a speculative market where everybody was trying to seek out the biggest risk, the most amount of yield driven by risky bets. And this is why the unwind has just started. The unwind is just beginning. We have a long ways to go. As I covered it in the episode earlier today, I talked about the commercial real estate, how much of the commercial real estate is going delinquent. Commercial real estate is going delinquent at a pace that has quadrupled in the past year and a half. The mainstream media is not telling you this. I mean, these numbers are staggering. The delinquencies are back to a level that we haven't seen since the Great Financial Crisis. By the way, it's the same thing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy filings in the United States and Canada. We're back to a level that's superseding the Great Financial Crisis for Chapter 11 bankruptcy filings. Not pretty. Now, let's talk crypto. I was really hoping that we got some crypto talk out of Trump and Elon. We didn't get any, unfortunately. Now, I did see a super chat here from B. Sherman, dropping a 50 spot of that Canadian funny money. Appreciate you, B. Sherman. Hello from your buddy Brian in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Canadian funny money. Keep up the great work, Zach. See, everybody knows I make fun of the Canadian money. I went up to Canada again this weekend, too. I like to take advantage of Canada. You know, it's right there for me. Hop up over there. There's all sorts of stuff to do. There's all sorts of fun stuff. We went up to the beach. We had a good time. I paid $34 for 2 tacos. It was a great time. Really, really enjoyed it. There were some good tacos, though. The quality of food up there is top notch. I do appreciate it. And coming from my small town, way more options for eating and taking the family out and doing some fun stuff. And thankfully, the US to dollar or dollar to Canadian dollar pairing is favorable right now for me. So it's a good time. It's a good time. Shout out to my Canadian friends up north. B. Sherman, I appreciate you so much. You guys keep fighting the good fight up there, by the way. Keep fighting it. You guys got a lot to fight for up there. Great country. You guys, it could be so much better for you guys up there. But I was really hoping that Elon would mention, Trump said he made comments about, and let me go through my notes here real quick. This is the notes that I had. He made a comment about AI and how Elon loved AI and how, Elon was going to be a leader in AI. And I was hoping that was going to lead them into crypto. Trump would say something about, we need you to lead us in AI and we also need to lead in crypto. Or I was hoping for Elon to follow up and say, yeah, we got to be on top of AI. And what do you think about this whole crypto thing? I was just hoping for something in regards to crypto. We didn't get anything. Okay. And maybe that's why Bitcoin didn't pump. I was looking, I only put my Bitcoin chart on the 15-minute chart when I'm looking at a live event, something like this. I throw up the 15-minute chart when Trump was speaking at the Bitcoin conference, and I was watching it. We didn't do anything because it wasn't mentioned at all. I know some people in the XRP community were waiting for Trump and Elon to mention XRP. That was a far stretch, and that didn't happen either. But what we are seeing right now on X, across the board, is an acknowledgement that there's some serious problems in this space that need to be cleaned up. This is a key difference between what's happening in the XRP ecosystem. We're in full clarity. We have full clarity. The only thing now that we're seeking clarity on is, will there be an appeal? And whether or not Ripple can get the stablecoin regulatory approval. That's the only approval that we're waiting on. And then eventually it'll be the IPO for Ripple as well. But what we're seeing right now across the board is the crypto space on X is starting to realize we got to clean this thing up, right? And so before I get into crypto further, I want to mention here's the Trump notes that I had from today's interview. First off, let's take another sip of our adult beverage while we're here. God bless you all. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Now, just checking my notes here. Okay. So, first off, they started out by talking about the assassination attempt, And the thing that I noted was Elon said it was strength under fire. When Trump got back up and he said, fight, 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 that was strength under fire. It's so true. It represents America. Pretty incredible. Then they went on to talk about Elon pressed them a little bit on, Trump was praising the Secret Service. And Elon said, well, it looks like there was some pretty significant failings. And there is. And the mainstream media has really buried that one, haven't they? Then they went on to talk about immigration, usual talking points, taxes, usual talking points. He mentioned how Kamala is now copying him. No taxes on tips. We understand that. Then they go. He did say that he's going to be going back to Butler, Pennsylvania for another rally. That's going to be pretty interesting. They talked about North Korea. He talked about how he wants the United States to have the best Iron Dome in the world. And he made an interesting comment. He said, Israel's got an Iron Dome. We need to have the best Iron Dome in the world. But there's other countries that have Iron Domes that you wouldn't even know about. I thought that was kind of interesting. Then they went in to talk about inflation, and Elon did a good job on pressing on what inflation really was, like where it comes from. And he talked about how it was excess government spending that is in excess of the demand for the US dollar. It's very simple. And so they went into that, and they talked about how the inflation is wiping out the savings for everybody, how nobody is doing good right now with the inflation that we have. And Trump even mentioned that he thinks this is the worst inflation that we've had in 100 years. They say it's the worst inflation that we've had in about 40 years or whatever. But he mentioned how they're lying about the data, how they strip out these various data points that we used to have in our inflation metrics. And we've been talking about that for the last few years, haven't we? So true. Now, then they went on to talk about how we need to double the energy output. Elon likes AI. They went in and they talked about Milei, the president of Argentina, how he's doing a lot of cuts. And they kind of were talking about that after they talked about the efficiency council that Elon Musk suggested. And I thought that was a good idea. We have a lot of government accountability offices, though. We have the Office of Inspector General. There's a couple different ones, that are accountable. We just have too much. And I think that what Malay's done, as far as just coming in and just cut the whole program out, right? That's a step in the right direction, And the problem is that we can't even afford it. Even if you wanted to say, oh, we need to have this program and that program in this office, in this agency, and we need to fund this war and give money to that person and that minority. Well, we don't have anymore. We are broke. And the more that we print these dollars to fund these programs and run these deficits, the more our dollar will be devalued. The more that we're going to lose that reserve currency. The more that we're going to lose our wealth. Our number will go up on paper, but our standard of living is going to go down in the real world. That's the problem. Now, in conclusion, the final note that I have is Elon just simply stated, he endorsed Trump once again, and he said it's very simple. You are the path to prosperity, and I don't think that that's the case with the other side. So that's why I'm voting for you. That's why I'm endorsing you, is I think that you're the path to prosperity. This is what's going to resonate with the voters back home, in my opinion, it's the old saying, it's the economy, stupid. The old political line. It's so true. You go back through the past decades, it's tough. It's tough for an incumbent to come, remain in power when Americans are pissed off about the economy, when nobody's feeling good. And even Trump said it in tonight's call. He said Biden managed to do something that's pretty incredible. He managed to get both sides to hate him, Democrats and Republican. See, if we can come together on this issue in our critique of the Biden administration, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, sitting on the beach and picking out ice cream, whatever you want to call this administration, if we can come together on our critique of this, let's come together on crypto. Let's come together on sound money, making gold and silver legal tender. Let's come together on providing a level playing field. Let's come together on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field, right? And this is where we have an incredible opportunity to come in. It looks like Trump's going to win this thing to me, but then we have an opportunity to come in with a sweep in the Congress, Senate, House, and we can actually get something passed, get something moving, right? And this is why I think, I'm calling it the Trump pump. We are going to see the regulators are still going to be allowed to go after the bad actors. Trump's not going to come in and he's not going to shut down the SEC. He's not going to do that. He's going to be critical of the SEC. He says he's going to fire Gary Gensler. But what he's going to do is he's going to encourage and light a fire under the behinds of our Congress to finally pass the legislation that we've been so desperately calling for. And the problem is that when we look at this cryptocurrency space, we've been trying to get representation. We got Ripple funding both sides of the aisle. They're funding the Fair Shake PAC to the tune of $50 million, one of the largest donors. Because Ripple has it like that, they can send $125 million in this penalty that they're going to have to pay while spending $50 million on Fair Shake on getting their way in elections, while at the same time doing acquisitions for Medico, doing acquisitions for Standard Custody and Trust. Ripple's in a beautiful spot. More on that later. But we've been trying to set an example in this space, and we're up against the degenerate activity that's taking place with all this fraud and all this crap that they're allowing to take place. I mean, for example, the Donald Trump coin, there's thousands of them, but they've all been rug pulls, right? And it's like all this is just allowed to go on, and it makes the space look bad. And this next data point that I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. You have early Ethereum disguised ICO whales continuing a $154 million month-long deposit spree to the exchange OKX. We don't know who this is. We don't know what they're doing. They're bringing $154 million of Ethereum onto the platform, most likely to sell. There's no reason for an early whale who, bought this Ethereum for probably pennies on the dollar, right? Pennies in Bitcoin on the dollar. Because remember the early deal that Vitalik gave you. If you get in early, it's only what? One Bitcoin gets you 1,000 ETH. Whatever the early deal was, whatever the early investment contract was. Yeah. This is the problem with this ecosystem and others, is you still have all these other projects where the founders are just dumping. I mean, look at HBAR. Look at the disappointment that Quant has been. All these utility tokens that we thought were going to do something, they don't develop any real partnerships, and they keep dumping tokens. Now, at least in Ethereum, it got pumped up because it was a token factory for fraud. So that's the problem with some of these other utility projects, is they were trying to build some real things, so at least that's what they sold us. So folks come into these projects thinking, okay, this is going to be the ledger for everything. This is going to be the ledger for this. This is going to be the ledger with utility. And meanwhile, it was just a marketing ploy. These founders aren't doing anything besides dumping their tokens on us with no real partnerships, no real development. And they didn't, create an environment for the meme coin token factory to pump up the coin like Ethereum and like Solana did. I mean, that's the crypto space in a nutshell up to this point, but it's beginning to change. And the next two data points I'm going to show you are exactly what we've been waiting for, which is where the XRP story goes viral and where Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, and Team Ripple are now in DC setting the policies and setting the laws with the regulators. And they're sitting down on both sides of the aisle, perfectly positioned for the new administration, the new Congress, the legislation that's going to be passed, and the ability to flip a switch on a US dollar stablecoin that I think will surpass both Circle and Tether to become the number one stablecoin in the world by market cap and volume. Now, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Do you think that my prediction is crazy? Do you think it's ridiculous? Or do you think that the Ripple stablecoin does have a chance to surpass Tether and Circle? My apologies, my back screen there. Got to have that up there. Now, you guys let me know in the comments down below. And then I'm going to explain after these next two data points why I think XRP hasn't pumped yet. Now, I want to get to Q&A too. So I'm going to go through these next two rather quickly. Start dropping your comments and questions down below. I'm going to get straight to them. Let's go. Steven Narioff, the early Ethereum insider. He's coming back. Here he is. Retweeting out Brad Garlinghouse. He says, kudos to Judge Torres for reining in the SEC's unrestrained persecution of legitimate companies such as Ripple and showing the world that Emperor Gensler indeed has no clothes. Hashtag right side of history. And we have been on the right side of history, and we are fighting for a good cause, and we will not relent, and our fight is not over. And this is why I love to see XRP going viral, but also our XRP leadership in regards of Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse sitting down at the round table with Rokana. On July 10th, I hosted a roundtable with the White House and cryptocurrency industry leaders because I believe it is important for the U.S. to lead on technology and innovation, and this industry embodies both. The leaders who joined that conversation reaffirmed that belief, including Mark Cuban, Chris Larson, Brad Garlinghouse, Anthony Scaramucci, and some others. Nova Gratz, of course, Danelle Dixon from Stellar, of course, Kraken, Circle, Paxos, Anchorage, Pantera, and A16Z. Now, he says, it was a great meeting. I'm grateful to Anita Dunn for joining in her personal capacity, along with Senator Gillibrand and Joe Neguse, and engaging thoughtfully. We hosted a smaller meeting last week with members from the President and VP Harris's teams and U.S. Treasury. It was a spirited conversation and a positive dialogue. Now, the spirited conversation is a nice way of saying that the industry leaders basically ripped these guys a new one. That's the inside scoop that we got from Eleanor Terrett after these meetings occurred, is that basically the industry leaders were kind of letting these guys hear it, which is good. They should be. They're supposed to be representing us, and we should be pissed off with them. There is much frustration in the industry. These folks are focused on innovating and creating jobs in the U.S., an already difficult task made tougher with clear guardrails or regulation, without the clear guardrails or regulation. Yada, yada, yada. He goes on there to talk about this. But like I said, in my response to the Crypto for Harris account on Twitter and the whole Democrat shift here of a crypto reset, you're playing catch up and you're so far behind. There is no way to catch up. You are not willing to come out and say that you're going to fire Gary Gensler. You will never catch up to Trump in that regard. Just won't happen. And you can call up Scaramucci, who's just mad that he, basically got let go. He was part of the Trump team. He was the White House press secretary for like a week. And that was one of the most epic White House press sessions in history. I don't know if you guys remember that. Anthony Scaramucci up there just talking out of his butt for, however long it lasted. He basically got thrown into the role, and he was there for it was like a couple days. It wasn't even a week. And now Scaramucci is all scared that Trump's going to get in and talking about how Trump's going to be doing all this big bad stuff, right? It's an absolute joke. But as I stated, you can be pretty stupid and still make a bunch of money. Just look at Mark Cuban and look at Scaramucci. Perfect examples. And here's the thing, is they're trying to play this game of showing the crypto space that we want to reset. Do we want to sit down and have some policies? The problem is that you can't have Joe explain any policies. You can't get Joe off the beach. Too busy eating ice cream. And the problem is that you can't put Kamala Harris in front of a live interview, a live conversation. You can't put her on an X space for 2 hours, unscripted, unrehearsed. You can't do it. And you definitely can't get her to do it and explain crypto policies. And that's the problem for the Democrats. See, if I was a strategist on the Democratic campaign, we'd be doing a lot of different things. Kamala would have been the first to jump on a space with Elon. There'd be a lot of things that we'd be doing differently. But you guys are seeing it right now. And this is the important thing, is that we are perfectly positioned with full clarity, barring any sort of appeal in the Ripple case, right? We are perfectly positioned. The rest of the space doesn't know what to do with themselves. You got early ETH insiders selling. You got early Bitcoin insiders selling. You have a lawsuit now where Celsius wants to sue Tether. You have the rest of the spaces imploding. Meme season's kind of over. Everybody kind of knows that there's this looming uncertainty of Gary Gensler coming to take out the rest of the space, and all the meme coins and all the bad activity if they ever actually got it together. Everybody knows that they're doing illegal securities violations, but they just think that the SEC is never going to come after them, right? My little meme coin that only gets up to $1 million market cap or a $10 million market cap, that's not going to be on the radar of the SEC. Well, I mean, that's a strategy. Hope and prayer is not a strategy where I come from, but for them, maybe that'll work. I don't think it will, because we know that the IRS has hired 87,000 agents. We know that the SEC is asking for more budget because they want to come after this space and they want to come after these bad actors. And they have tools like AI to be able to run scripts across these blockchains and figure out who all the meme coin dumpers are. It'd be very easy. So this brings me to the final point that I want to make before I get to Q&A here tonight, which is, in my opinion, why is XRP not pumped? Everybody wants to know. Gold's at all-time high. Gold pumped today. Why isn't XRP pumped? XRP's, I think, down to what, 56, 57 cents? I'm going to pull up the chart real quick. Make sure you guys are dropping your comments and questions down below. I'm going to get right to them. 56.5 cents right now. Here's your XRP chart. Okay. Why hasn't XRP pumped? Very frustrating, right? In my opinion, the main reason why XRP is not pumped is because perception is reality. And the perception right now in the cryptocurrency space is that XRP and Ripple still don't have clarity. Everybody's worried about an appeal. Fake news is being put out that the SEC did file an appeal. That's not true. They could appeal. They haven't yet, but it's not stopping fake news reporters from reporting on that. And my question is, who paid these little, Joe Blow reporters for basically no-name publications that are irrelevant? Who paid him to do this? I forget his name, little Jacob something. He's got a weird stash, weird hairdo. Just one of these little guys, right? And these guys will shill anything. You give these guys $1,000, they'll sell their soul. You pay some of these outlets 5-10 grand, they'll shill your project without blinking an eye. They don't care. They have no morals. They have no soul. And these are the guys that are bad for our industry. This is why I'm calling them out. It's not because I'm mad. Oh, you put out this fake news about XRP. That does make me mad a little bit. But broadly speaking, these are the guys that make a bad name of the entire space. And so we have to call it out. And this adds to the lies and the misinformation that are being spread right now that Ripple can't sell to institutions. So we have all this uncertainty, all these lies and all this misinformation that we're still up against. This is why XRP hasn't pumped. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear what you guys think. My opinion is that the perception in the market, folks are still worried about an SEC appeal. Folks still think that there's not clarity. Institutions looking to use XRP are probably still thinking that there's not clarity, and even though Ripple could probably show them, hey, here's how we've restructured the contracts. This is not an investment contract. We've been selling XRP in this way for the last few years. We don't believe it's an investment contract. The institutions might still be saying, hey, we appreciate that, but we want to wait and make sure that the SEC is not going to appeal and this isn't going to go on. I mean, for these institutions, you're talking about billions of dollars on the line. They don't just move out on a whim. They can't just take, they don't move on a trust me, bro, right? Which is kind of what Ripple is working with right now, right? They have the clarity that XRP is not a security. They have clarity that the judge didn't say their ongoing sales are securities, but the judge said, that's not in front of me. I'm not going to rule on the ongoing sales. They're bordering the line, but it's not in front of me. I'm not going to rule on it. But the judge also didn't issue a fine or place a broad, totally encapsulating injunction on Ripple, which to me is a form of clarity. If it was going to be a problem, if it was a violation of Section 5 of the securities laws, the judge would have said blanket injunction on institutional sales, but she didn't. Why? Because you can still effectively sell XRP without an investment contract. And so the market doesn't get that. The market doesn't understand that. And the masses still don't even know what, they're still learning what crypto is. And when they come into the crypto space, the last thing that they're learning about is XRP. And that's because there's more marketing for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and meme coins. And there's more attention drawn to that, right? And so I'm not here to make excuses for XRP. I'm just explaining why I think we're at 56.5 cents right now. It's because it's the same thing with silver. Like I said, the market doesn't perceive silver to have monetary value. The reason why silver has popped up is because of the industrial demand, the utility for silver in solar panels, in batteries, in other components that make up, and going to be part of the Green New Deal. That's what's driven silver up. And the reason why I can say this is because retail speculators and investors in silver have been selling. So when you look at the Silver Institute and all of the reports that we're getting, the reason why silver's grown is because industrial demand is growing rapidly. We're still at a deficit. And when you look at the retail investor, they're selling. So how could the price be going up if the retail investor is selling off? Because industrial demand, combined with a deficit that we've now been running for 3 or 4 years now. Now, when you look at XRP, it's kind of the same thing. Folks don't see the value. Folks don't even know about XRP. They have only been fed lies about XRP. They're still being fed misinformation about XRP. They don't understand that XRP has legal clarity. They don't understand that Ripple's now in the clear as far as how they can operate. They don't understand that Ripple's on-demand liquidity product now doesn't even require their customer to hold XRP. Ripple's in the clear completely. You have to understand, even if the SEC does appeal, which I believe if the SEC appeals, that Ripple will appeal as well. It's a checkmate move. Even if the SEC appeals, Ripple still has a new business model that has nothing to do with selling XRP or having the institutions own XRP. I covered it a couple episodes ago in talking about Ripple's new website. If you look at their documentation website, there's a new product. It's called Ripple Payments Direct, I believe is what it's called. Ripple Payments Direct. And what it is it explains how their clients don't even buy or sell XRP at all. Their clients have Ripple buy and sell and provide the liquidity, and Ripple just sends them an invoice for the services provided. So basically the institution says, we have money here, we want it to go there. You guys use XRP liquidity to do so, send us a bill. There's no buying or selling of XRP done by the institution or to the institution. It's all done by Ripple and their partners in jurisdictions outside the US. And that's the other thing too. If Ripple wants to get XRP into the hands of these institutions can set up offshore entities all day long. That's common practice. That's no big deal. Now I see one of our good friends, one of our regular super chatters who likes to pull up here in a major way, corepins.com, which they are not an official sponsor of the show, I must say. Corepins.com is not an official sponsor, but corepins.com is one of our good friends that likes to pull up and he likes to drop big 200 spots. Are you kidding me? Corepins.com, not an official sponsor, but they might as well be. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for tonight's rant. Hope the XRP ledger shutdown on the 19th is that it goes live. What's happening on the 19th? Oh, are you talking about the testnet? Now the testnet's going down. The testnet's going down for a minute. And I think it already did. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. What's happening on the 19th? Core pins, what's happening on the 19th? Let's go to Q&A. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. We got haters in the chat? Oh no, of course. They always show up, don't they? You know, the only thing that we ask of our haters is please just keep on dropping the comments. Really appreciate your participation. Hard for me to think that XRP will be a dead coin when there are many international institutions engaged with it. Absolutely, 100%. Kirk Adams says, Zach, I agree with you on most things, but seriously, you ask for questions and comments, but you keep talking. I'm done talking. Rapid fire Q&A. My apologies. I do tend to do that. I do have a couple flaws. Most likely outcome, no major reset or collapse, just a stagnant or recession economy for the next decade. No, there's too much unwinding already, in my opinion, Johnny. There's too much unwinding. The 19th, they're shutting down the XRP ledger, but that's for the testnet, though. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's for the testnet. Apple phone to tap pay RLUSD. Well, yeah, you're gonna have many options, I think, available. You're gonna have many options available, but yeah, the new software is getting ready. Looks like they want to be able to enable crypto payments eventually. clawback opinion, Nathan. The clawback has to be done to be in regulatory compliance and for institutions with these assets. I mean, it's just like any bank activity. The banks can claw back a transaction, right? And there's a standard that's kind of been set, standard procedures and standard practices. And so it's nothing out of the ordinary, and it's actually needed. And an amendment is now being added to the XRP ledger so that you can add clawback enabled assets to the AMM. And I believe that the Ripple stablecoin, along with XRP, is going to be the largest liquidity pool on the XRP ledger by far. I think it's going to make what we've done on the AMM so far look like a joke, to be honest with you guys. I think that what we've done on the AMM is cool. It's nice. It's growing at a faster pace than Uniswap did back when Uniswap started in 2018. And a side note on Uniswap is obviously the early VC investors in Uniswap are being sued or being served notices right now by the SEC. So that's an interesting development. Meanwhile, we're in full clarity. Our AMM is completely decentralized. So that's one advantage that we have with Uniswap. But the growth rate is significant. It's better than Uniswap. But I think that when Ripple steps in with their stablecoin, they'll be able to add a significant amount of their stablecoin to the AMM, and then they can add XRP to the AMM, and they can get that sucker flown in a major way, in a major way. Can you please go over why you don't like Quant? My disappointment with Quant is in the lack of real tangible partnerships and development within the ecosystem. They've touted, oh, we're consulting this group. Oh, we talked to this group. We did a photo op here. I got interviewed over here. Show me who's using your token. It's the main question. It's the first question that I always ask. You guys know this with any project that I'm looking to invest in. Who's using your token that matters? Not who you're friends with, not who you're consulting, not, oh, we're on the Faster Payments Task Force. Well, that's great. Is the Faster Payments Task Force going to use your token? If not, what are we doing here, right? And I think this is why Quant has underperformed compared to other assets so far. Now, could Quant make a run? It absolutely could. I don't own any Quant right now. I had a goal. I was going to buy Quant under $50. That was a couple years ago, and I missed my opportunity when it did go below $50. It happened really quick. I missed my chance, and then I never got in. And then over the past couple years, I've just been displeased and not impressed with any real partnerships and adoption of Quant. That's my opinion on Quant. It's not that I necessarily hate it. It's just been disappointment. You know what I'm saying? Which I could say the same thing about XRP as far as disappointment in price. But what I can say with XRP is that we can see people using the token. We can see institutions. We can see people that matter are using the token. And I think there's a lot more people, contracts, NDAs waiting to be revealed on who's using the token. Why didn't XRP break $1 after the announcement? Well, Desert Dog, I just answered it, but I'll answer it again. My opinion, perception is reality. And the perception right now is that Ripple's still not in the clear. XRP's still not in the clear. Folks are worried about an appeal. Folks are seeing fake news headlines saying that the SEC already did an appeal. That's not true. And they're seeing misinformation like Ripple can't sell to institutions. That's not true. But the XRP news sells. And so this is why these platforms run with fake news about XRP. When XRP is favorable and it's time to talk about XRP, we showed you guys CoinDesk shared the news of the Ripple conclusion. They shared it like 10 times. Why do they do that? Because it brings attention to their platform. See, everybody hates on XRP and Ripple until, the views are coming down, until they can't get people to pay attention anymore. And then they bring up XRP and Ripple because now it's the number one leading story in the entire space. But we only got that attention for a couple of days. And then the fake news came out that the SEC had appealed, come out that Ripple can't sell to institutions. And so this is why I think the XRP hasn't pumped, is because there's just still a perception that Ripple and XRP don't have clarity, even though they do. Do they have full clarity? No, but they have a level of clarity that should suffice for institutions that want to invest and use XRP. I mean, they can tap into XRP liquidity without even having to own XRP. Do you think that XRP can hit $1 this month? Well, that's one of the things that we talked about in this morning's video, right? Is that there's all these options traders that are now calling for a $1.10 XRP by the end of the month. This is a bet that they're placing on one of the derivatives platforms, not available to U.S. or Canadian investors, but it's based out of Panama. It's called Deribit Exchange. And the number one option for XRP is that $1.10 XRP by the end of the month is when it expires. So yeah, do I think it's possible? Yes. Am I willing to say with 100% certainty it's going to happen? No. In fact, I'll tell you guys right now, barring, so basically XRP decoupled for about 24 hours. XRP was up 20%, rest of the space was down. We decoupled, we had a pump, we had a lot of fun. But the problem is that now we're back trading with the rest of the space. So now we're waiting for what's going to spark a run for the rest of the space. Or what's the next, spark that could move XRP without the rest of the space? What could make XRP decouple? The October 6th ruling, or the October 6th deadline for when the SEC or Ripple has a chance to appeal would be the next date that I would watch for. And trust me, I already know. I'm just as sick as talking about dates and, talking about this lawsuit as you guys are, right? If we joked about, what are you going to have to talk about now that the lawsuit's over with? Well, here we are. Everybody's still on the edge of their seat waiting for appeal. And I have a lot more to talk about than just XRP. You guys know my show. You guys know my deal. We talk about it all. So we're not going anywhere. Even after this case ends, we're not going anywhere. A lot of chaos and a lot of rough waters. Johnny, I think you're right. Who's holding the price of XRP down with this manipulation? I just think that there's big market makers. There's just big market makers in this game that don't care about us. They don't care about our community. They don't care about anything other than keeping XRP suppressed because they've been more invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana ecosystems. And so this is why they don't talk about XRP. They try to hide XRP until they're forced to talk about it. And then when big lawsuit conclusion happens, these developments start to occur, Ripple set to launch their stablecoin, that's when they have to talk about it. They can no longer dismiss it. And that's kind of the moment that we're living through right now. Which yacht are you buying at 589, bro? I am not buying a yacht. You guys are going to buy yachts, and you guys are my friends, and you're going to invite me on your yacht, and I will bring adult beverages, and I will bring a good time. I will bring the vibes, and I will see you guys on the dance floor, on the yacht, but I'm coming on your guys' yacht. I'm not buying a yacht. I'm leaving that up to you guys. No yacht for me. The other thing too, guys, that we have to understand is that we are not in a free utility environment for crypto. This is not a utility environment at all. This is still degenerate activity. This is still speculation. This is still no regulation. And so we're all kind of going through this space blind right now, trying to develop out our space while we can't even get big money to really pour in other than into the ETFs. And this is what you have to understand is when we do get the clarity, when we do have the green light for institutions to come in, they're going to come in at a pace that we've never seen before. And I can say that confidently because that's exactly what happened with the Bitcoin ETFs. Now, it's not what happened with the Ethereum ETFs. The Ethereum ETF was a big top, as we warned about, buy the rumor, sell the news. That's exactly what happened with Ethereum. But with Bitcoin, they saw the largest inflows of any ETF in history. And I talked with you guys about what happened with gold and silver when they got their ETFs in 2003 and 2004. Gold went up 5x, silver went up 10x. We're getting our ETFs after we've only had about 10 years of exposure in this entire cryptocurrency space. Gold and silver got their ETFs after they'd already been around for thousands of years. So if folks wanted exposure to gold and silver, they had decades before the ETFs to be able to do so. We're now at a point here where crypto's only been around for 10 years, period. Folks still don't even know what this is. We got folks on this planet that still don't even have an internet connection. That's what that's where we're at. That's how early we are. But once the ETF does come, once the regulations do come, you're going to see inflows into the space that like we've never seen before. And that's why Ripple's talking about how the stablecoin market cap is set to grow to 3 trillion. Brad Garlinghouse said that the overall cryptocurrency market cap is set to grow to 5 trillion this year. Remember that. Brad doesn't make predictions often, but when he does, they're bold. He says 99% of crypto is going to go away. XRP is going to be a world reserve digital currency. We're going to make it as liquid as a G10 currency. And then he says that the overall cryptocurrency space is going to a $5 trillion market cap this year. Ripple's saying that the stable coins are going to grow to 3 trillion by 2028. Right now, the stable coins altogether is only about 160 billion. So in my video where I talked about Ripple stablecoin going to the #1 spot, that doesn't even really, part of the conversation was, yeah, Tether's in trouble, Tether's being sued, Tether probably doesn't have reserves. But even if Tether's allowed to still go about and still be successful, they made 6 billion profit last year in 2023. In the first half of this year, they made 5 billion profit. That's a great business. And so this is what I'm saying. When Ripple steps into this, even if they don't take market share away from Tether, even if they don't take market share away from Circle, even though I laid out reasons why they have a good reason to take market share from them, Ripple is a much better counterparty than Circle. Not only is Ripple stablecoin backed by T-bills and cash, but it's backed and the collateral is held at their own bank, their own trust company, Standard Custody and Trust. They don't have to pay any fees or anything to hold their collateral. But then by extension, Ripple as a counterparty is backed by their huge bag of XRP. Circle doesn't have a bag of XRP. Circle doesn't have a bag of anything. Circle has their cash, has their T-bills. That's it. Yes, they're over collateralized, but you still have exposure. And the counterparty risk is an exposure to Circle and the US government by extension of those T-bills. You have the same counterparty risk with Ripple, but Ripple also has $20 billion worth of XRP. Not a bad spot to be in. And if I had to choose a counterparty, it definitely wouldn't be Tether. I've always used USDC over Tether because I trust Circle more than I do Tether. But now with the option of Ripple, well, that's a much better counterparty than Circle. And so this is what I'm saying. Even without taking market share from Circle and Tether, the overall space is set to grow and expand. And Ripple is perfectly positioned with a bunch of institutional partners. Remember, Bank of America said simply, they're waiting for the case to conclude to use XRP for a competitive advantage. This is why I think that Ripple will have the #1 stablecoin by market share and volume, is because they'll start to get their institutional partners on board. And they're going to start to get their institutional partners to use this stablecoin, which settles on the XRP ledger, which is going to benefit XRP. So this is good news for us. Folks are confused. Oh, all this Ripple stablecoin, what is this going to do for XRP? Well, the more liquidity that's moving and settling through that stablecoin, the more liquidity that's moving and settling on the XRP ledger, right? This is what we've been waiting for. And I think that they have the ability to take this AMM liquidity pool between the Ripple stablecoin and the XRP. That liquidity pool right there could ramp up rapidly. Ripple puts in 1 billion XRP, and then they put in 1 billion stablecoin on both sides. A billy here, a billy there. Let's do more. Let's do 5 billy there, 5 billy there. Why not? What's stopping them? There's nothing stopping them. And in fact, if they can get the institutional partners to come in and make that investment in their stablecoin, right, then that market cap of that stablecoin is going to go drastically. And they'll be able to issue more and more of these stablecoin tokens. And the beautiful thing too is this all comes together when we're getting all these new utilities for the XRP ledger. Multi-purpose tokens. We just got clawbacks. We just got our AMM. Now we're going to get the EVM sidechain. But we're not just getting the EVM sidechain. Now we're getting bridges to 50 plus blockchains. On top of that, there's additional amendments. We're going to be able to add clawback enabled assets to the AMM. That's critical. When institutions want to, basically issue, say, tokenized gold, tokenized real estate, and they have to have clawbacks, they'll be able to do so, but they'll also be able to add those assets to the AMM to source some of the best liquidity in the world for said assets. That's why you issue on the XRP ledger, is because you want to be able to provide liquidity for your asset, the best liquidity for your asset. So this is where you say, I'm going to tokenize gold and I'm going to put it on a ledger. Which one should I pick? Well, I'm going to pick the one where I can issue this asset with clawback enabled so that I'm in compliance with the regulators, but I'm going to add it to the XRP ledger and I'm going to add it to the AMM where the ledger is going to source and find me the best liquidity in the world. That's the advantage. Ellie Pal is what I have. Yeah. So if you guys are looking for cold storage solutions, I have them available at zachrector.com. I have exchanges, I have wallets, we have precious metals. If you guys are looking to get tapped in with our private community, I would love to have you guys join us in the family. You get access to the Discord group by signing up through Patreon. We'd love to have you in there. And guys, let's do some more comments, questions. I have just a little bit left of my adult beverage. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Had a really good time. I was listening to the session with Trump and Elon. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to get kind of bored. I'm ready to fire up this live. So I appreciate you guys for hanging with me, coming on for a late night session. I started this one at 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern, and now here we are. We're past midnight on the East Coast. Still rocking and rolling with you guys. I appreciate you so much. And that's just it. Franklin, he says, I like the price where it's at because I get to keep stacking a bag every week and I'm a long-term holder. And that's just it. That's how I feel about, silver. That's how I feel about XRP. And that's how I feel about getting and being in position right now on real estate. Those of you guys that have been listening to me for a while, I've been sitting on my cash. Not only have I stayed liquid to buy XRP, silver, and these assets when they go on sale, but the main reason why I've been stacking up cash is to move on real estate, which I think is going to be correcting. The correction's already underway for real estate, but I think that we're going to be coming into a great buyer's market towards the end of this year and the next year. Dennis with a 5 spot, RLUSD will become one of the biggest buyers of the US Treasuries, and Ripple keeps a chunk of the interest, making it as big as Tether. See, Dennis, that's what's critical. And I talked about this. So if Ripple is able to issue this stablecoin, they're going to be able to collect that 4 or 5% on their T-bills. That's a great source of cash flow. But if we just look at what Tether's accomplished, this whole stablecoin business model just spits out cash, right? You're printing money and you get to collect, all this money based off the fees and all this. They made $6 billion profit last year. Incredible. And then they made $5 billion profit so far in the first half of this year. Now, if Ripple is able to accomplish just what Tether's done, they're able to make $5-6 billion profit per year. Well, this is a company, Ripple, that's being valued, an implied valuation of $7 billion on the private markets right now. Might be a little undervalued. I'm not going to give you financial advice. I'm not going to tell you to buy Ripple private equity, but I am going to tell you if you do want to buy Ripple private equity and you are new to Link2 and you use my link on down below, you will get $500 towards your first investment in Ripple private equity or any of the other private equity that Link2 sells. Now, what's interesting, and I've always said this, the stablecoin business model and the cash flow that it could bring into Ripple could be more than that $7 billion valuation just in and of itself. Just the stablecoin business model could make Ripple undervalued as it is right now. But then when you look at Ripple's escrow, they got about just under 40 billion in escrow, and they have about another 4 or 5 billion of XRP. It's about 44.5 billion XRP from what we've been able to track. That bag of XRP is worth, $24 billion. And the largest IPO ever was 25.6 billion at Saudi Aramco in 2019. So folks think that I'm crazy. Folks think that I'm just a hype boy coming up with crazy stuff, pulling it out of my butt. It's simple math. Their bag of XRP is worth $24 billion. The largest IPO was 25.6 billion. Right now, they have an implied valuation of $7 billion. Somewhere in between there might be some arbitrage opportunity, might be an undervaluation. Then you add in the stablecoin business, which if they do it as well as Tether, you're talking $5 to $10 billion profit per year. Not a bad business to get into. We got some big bags coming in. You guys stacking it up. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up this one. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've gone live here for almost an hour and a half here tonight. Didn't make it as long as Trump and Elon did. They went live for 2 hours. I see we have 2,400 people with us between X and YouTube. Just an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys tonight. If you guys appreciated this episode, please make sure that you like this video. Help me out by sharing out our content far and wide. And if you're new here, make sure you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to support us, it's all at zachrector.com. We got precious metals for you for your 401k retirement account, or we can ship it direct to your door. We got crypto exchanges, wallets. And if you want to get tapped in with our private community, get access through Patreon to our Discord group. We would love to have you in the family. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. I got more content dropping tomorrow. We're going to be watching more economic data. Going to be a good update tomorrow for you guys, so stay tuned for more. Have a great evening. God bless all of you guys. Thank you so much.